Welcome to Cokoon 101, an original series by Cokoon. My name is Jay Olowu and I'll be your host for today. On today's episode, we have filmmaker Jyde Ajala. Jyde, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Can you tell us a bit about yourself?
I'm a filmmaker. A lot of times I describe myself as a visual storyteller. I love to tell stories, and yeah.
What sparked your interest into doing what you're doing right now?
That's a good question. I feel like it's something I've always loved, the arts, growing up as a kid, just being around the house watching television. I was a huge fan of Charlie Chaplin growing up, and I would always just perform around the house. I never envisioned becoming a filmmaker one day, and I feel like as time passed, that fire just grew even more, and I was fortunate enough to go to film school and study the arts of filmmaking and pursue that dream. So, yeah.
At what point did it become clear to you that this was the path you wanted to forge?
I think somewhere in secondary school, I was surrounded by a lot of like-minded individuals. I joined a creative collective called The Box in Port Harcourt at the time, and they were kind of like the X-Men, and you go to the school and you just realize that everyone is a mutant, or everyone has this special skill. They're graphic designers, they're filmmakers, singers, musicians. And it was really encouraging to know there were a lot of like-minded individuals, and I think that gave me the confidence to try to pursue a career in filmmaking and the arts.
I know you founded Olajide Inc.
Yeah.
What motivated that into having your own production company?
Oh man, it feels like something that just naturally happened. It wasn't something I was chasing. For me, film is where my heart is, but I had a lot of friends who were singers, rappers, and I always wanted to shoot music videos for them, because at the time I couldn't afford music videos. So it's like, man, let me learn this thing so I could come back and shoot for my guys. And I think over time, just filming, I just naturally fell into this space of having to create my own collective, right? And I've been fortunate enough to collaborate with a lot of special people along the way, and that's kind of how Old Soldier came to life, just from collaborating and building that collective.
People often misunderstand the core of being a filmmaker, and they usually chatters like, especially when you're at the apex of your career, like you guys just get big budgets and shoot like these videos. What do you think are like the common like misconceptions and misunderstandings about like what you do and being a filmmaker, being a music video director?
I'm not sure. I feel like there's so many misconceptions in general about the industry, but for me, it's like a lot of times I think what I try to promote is the director takes all the credit. Your name is always there, but for me, filmmaking is very unique in the sense that it takes a whole village to actually make this thing work. It's not about the one individual. Yeah, it might be a vision, but you still need all these people to bring it to life. And I feel like for me and Old Soldier, that's one thing we try to showcase. Try to make people understand that for that 2-minute video that you see and you just saw a 5-minute video, it's like, man, this stuff is whack.
Yeah.
A bunch of people who worked on this stuff like that, and like a lot of sleepless nights just to make this thing work. So I always try to push that. Someone said to me at one point, like, I don't like doing music videos, and I asked him why. Like, I prefer movies because after I retire, my kids will grow up and they don't see my name anywhere. There's no credit to associate.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, my dad did that. I'm like,
yeah.
That really spoke to me. And I think, it's even inspired me more to try to put all the other people who worked on these projects, out there and put their names like, hey, this guy worked on this, so there's a track record. So
Yeah. The core of Cocoon 101 is kind of educating people so they have like better insights. So I'd like you to, following up the last question I asked you, what your process is like from start to finish. So off camera, I was asking you, I know you had said something about one time Olamide had called you and said, you need to shoot this, like you're paying your rent. So can you take us through like what the process is like from the ideation process, and then you talked about like, oh, it takes a village, and then to what people see on the TV screens, that is a 2-minute, 3-minute video.
Yeah. So the process varies in a lot of ways because you're always working with a lot of different people who have how they do things as well. For me, primarily, I have a creative director, Jamila G. And we kind of work together on a lot of the treatments for music videos. There's some artists there, like, they're very creative as well. They have their own ideas. And so a lot of times they want to sit down and have that conversation with you, or, a lot of times artists will just send you their music and they kind of tell you maybe what their brand is at the moment, and you have to go multiple treatments or whatever until they see what they actually want. And sometimes it's just about convincing as well, like, I think this is the direction you need to go. So for me, it usually starts out from the source material, which is the music, and I sit down with my team, my creative director, and we just kind of create this world, and we hope the artists and their team, they like it. Sometimes you need that extra push just to create something unique, because sometimes it's always, I want what the last person did, and it gets tiring. So you just have to find new ways to innovate and make it like fresh.
Have you ever created something and you felt like, nah, this is not my style, and you weren't like very confident to put it out? Has that ever happened before?
Yeah, I'm sure it has happened. I wouldn't say it's not my style per se, but I feel like starting out, something I really struggled with, because I'll turn down a lot of songs because maybe they're too upbeat. I'm like, I don't know how to infuse my style in this, and or maybe it's too, grungy or something. But I had a conversation with my sister, and she's very religious, and she's actually a pastor too. She's a lawyer, but a pastor. And she kind of gave me the confidence and encouraged me, like, no, you can listen to this stuff objectively and see if you're not compromising yourself at the end of the day. But you could challenge yourself to see how you could put a spin on this. And I think that kind of opened my mind into not just saying, okay, because there are 1,000,001 curse words on the song, I can't do anything, So I try to find a way to, be of service to that song and expand it in a way you wouldn't, a lot of times people, they tell us, oh, I actually like that song more after seeing the video. So it feels great to hear stuff like that. And, that's what we try to do each time, just to make people see like that world the artist is creating.
One of your favorite works of mine is the one with Victoni and Ashake. And I think that was like cross-production where you had to work with another director. And I think you shot yours in Nigeria, or I don't know like what the process was like. And I think the beauty of that for me is we're very big on like collaboration in these times. Like, people are very big. So, and I don't think in a couple years back, that's what someone would like envision, that like two directors would work on one project together. And thinking about like, obviously there's gonna be egos, like, what was that process like? And
yeah, that was great. So for that video, Stubborn, we shot everything in LA actually, and
so all of you were in LA.
We were all together, and Jamila and I, my creative director, we wrote the treatment together. And after we wrote the treatment, Mikey Rare, who's the other director, Mikey and I are good friends, and he also edits for me. He's a an incredible editor, and incredible director. So after writing the treatment, we just knew we needed like something extra. And Jamila and I spoke, and we're like thinking of bringing Mikey on because of his style. It really fits, and we've been talking about directing something together. So I reached out to Mikey, and he loved the treatment right away. And as soon as he came on, it took it from where it was, it just took it to a whole nother level, because now it's two people, and both of us were there was no ego whatsoever. We we have two different styles, but we just found a way to kind of bring our strengths into the project. And with Jamila there as well and the whole crew, it was actually really fun shooting that project. And something I like to do a whole lot more going forward, working with other directors. I've been in talks with other directors to try to find projects that fit. So that was an incredible experience.
So also you worked on like some fashion films. Would you like draw parallels between directing fashion films and music videos, and like gone to your head, which one would you say, oh, like I prefer doing this one, and if we could just pick one?
Yeah, and that's almost impossible. I feel like they're all connected, because at the end of the day, it always starts with the story. Fashion, food, whatever it is, it's always the story. So as long as you can kind of live in that universe, they're all pretty similar. Working on a fashion film with Ashlocks, that was a lot of fun, and I really appreciated the fact that they wanted to try something different and tell story, and that's why they reached out to us, and it was really fun working with those guys.
I'll talk about I know you got a nod at the awards, Eddies, yeah. How did that feel, and how important do you think getting recognitions for your works are? And then also, every time the award shows, there's always a divide. Oh, this person should have won this person should have won this. Do you think those things matter in the grand scheme of things?
Yes and no, because they exist for a reason, and I don't think anyone would feel bad if they ever won an award. But for me, I never got into the business for awards. I always just wanted to be recognized as a visual storyteller. And being recognized feels good. It shows that some people out there who are watching what you do, and they honor you for that. But it's something I never want to get caught up in or put out there for aspiring filmmakers as well. Like, you need this. One of my favorite cinematographers is Roger Deakins, and he was nominated for, I think, about 14 Academy Awards before he finally won. And for me, it's like, if Roger Deakins has to wait 15 or how many movies to get,
yeah,
because for me, he's one of the greatest, right? And when you think about stuff like that, it's just like, does it really matter? At the end of the day, the project is more important than anything. How it affects people is key for me. If you get the award, cool. If it doesn't come as well, like, I don't think you should stress over stuff like that. It's really secondary.
This has been really great and insightful. I'd just like to end this on this note. I would like you to look at this camera and sort of give a pep talk to some 13-year-old that's somewhere now looking at Jyde Ajala, and he's trying to navigate the industry and wants to be a filmmaker.
Man, that's no pressure. But I think the best advice I could give to anyone who's an aspiring filmmaker or just watching this is, honestly, just be true to yourself. I know it sounds cliche, but again, it doesn't. If you really believe in something, just go for it. Don't be afraid to do it at the end of the day. And I always tell a lot of aspiring filmmakers as well, don't be afraid to be used, if that makes sense. Like, starting out, because a lot of times you get like zero budgets, and I have a lot of like aspiring filmmakers that be like, oh hell no, the business is like key, and that is true. But if there's a platform that is going to elevate you into the next level, and they're not paying you anything, sometimes just take that chance, you know, because at the end of the day, you could go from zero budget into charging millions. So always just see what is best for you and see where that's going to propel you, and just take a chance. So that would be my advice, really. So
Thank you so much, Jyde, for joining us on this episode. It's been an absolute pleasure.
thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
And that's it, guys. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Cokoon 101. My name is Jay Olowu, and see you next time.